All right, hello everyone, and welcome back to the Microsoft Office 365 Tips and Tricks webinar brought to you by the Marks Group. So for this month, we're going to talk about a couple of different things. One, using @mentions in Outlook emails. This is a pretty cool feature that I just found out about, and it's got a couple of different child actions that can be taken, and it just helps you call out someone if you're trying to get their attention in an email. I know, like project status updates, stuff like that. It's easy to get kind of lost in big emails like that if you're trying to ask different people different questions. So we'll go over that. The second is talking about Outlook calendar working hours, setting those. I know the default is usually 8 to 4, 8 to 5, something like that, but not everyone works those hours. So if you need to change those or change the days that are displayed as your working days, I will show you how to do that. And finally, we're going to talk about researching from within Microsoft Word. It's kind of a funky, cool, new old feature that I stumbled upon that I thought was worth pointing out, especially, I think it's probably meant most for students, but there are definitely situations where we need to research different topics, or maybe it's handy to be able to do that from within Word. So let's get started. Okay, so first talking about using @mentions in Outlook. I'm going to start from Office 365 on the web, but I'll show you what this looks like in Outlook as well. Outlook desktop, that is. So first I'm going to click on Outlook, which will just take us to the online version of that. And I'm going to draft a new message, and you know what? I'm just going to send it to myself. Just to make absolutely sure I can show you the end result as well. I'm going to call it test, and then we'll say, hello, @Megan, and we'll select that. You can either leave the full name there, or you can actually, if you backspace once, it'll get rid of the last name if you're trying to be a little more informal, or just have their first name displayed. Either way will work. How's the project going? So I'm going to send that off, and we will see it come through here. And 105, yep. So this is the same, that email that we just sent. So if we click on, and as you can see, it just popped up in my desktop Outlook as well. And if you click on this, you can actually see the contact little pop-up here, and different emails that have come from that contact. So this is just a cool thing that you can do from the web version of Outlook. Now going to the desktop version of Outlook, if we click on this again, and I think we'll try it on here. This is another test that I just did. If you do this, there should be an action item kind of window thing that pops up here, and you can create a follow-up task based on these @mentions. So I think that's pretty cool. So you can create a follow-up or mark it as complete. So that is pretty nifty. But yeah, that's how you, okay, and that same contact window kind of pops up here. So as you can see, it highlights and really calls out that person's name. So again, if you're sending out a big project update email or something, and you're asking for updates from various people, or you just have a big email and you call out a question in the middle of it, this is just a nice way to grab their attention and make sure they see the question or the request that you're asking. So that's pretty much using @mentions in Outlook. It's really easy. again, all you have to do is just the @ symbol and, you know, the user's name, and you can actually, if you do this first without setting anyone up in the to section, it will bring their email up in there automatically, so that's kind of nice too. And again, you backspace once, it'll just have their first name. So that's just a nice way to kind of call people out and grab their attention in an email. Okay, so since we're in Outlook already in here, I'm just going to go straight to the calendar module down here, and that opens up this lovely online version of the calendar. I have it set to work week, but you can change that here. So to set your working hours, to customize that, right now this is set to 8 to 4 or 8 to 5. If we click on the gear box thing here, a contextual settings menu will pop up. And if we did that over in the Office 365 main menu, a different set of settings would appear here. So we're going to go back to the calendar. And it's not necessarily straightforward, but you actually click on calendar appearance to make the working hours change. So here you can show your work week as, I have that set to Monday through Friday, but you can change that if you need to. And then here you can change your working hours. I typically get started working a little earlier than 8 o'clock. And you can extend this or shorten this as needed. So let's say 7 to 4:30. And we'll click OK. And as you can see, it updated our working hours here. And this also, if you have your calendars set up to set up meetings with your colleagues and you can see their working hours, this will also update that. So when you're trying to find a good meeting time for everyone, it will display the appropriate working hours. So that's just a simple, nifty way to update your working hours and your working days. As far as I know, it's only possible to do this from Outlook Online. However, let's just take a second to see if we can find this. But when I was doing, my due diligence on this topic, that is what I found. But let's just make sure. And we have the Exchange version. We go to Properties. We go to View Settings. So I think it's only possible to set this from the web version of Outlook and the Outlook calendar. However, if you know otherwise, please let me know at megan@marksgroup.net or leave a comment on the blog post about this. And I think if we closed this out and refreshed this, our working hours would update in here as well. In fact, let's try that. It might take a few minutes to update. I'm not sure if we'll see the most updated working hours reflected here, but let's see. Okay, it hasn't updated quite yet, but after you change it in Outlook Online, it will eventually update in your desktop version of Outlook as well. All right. And again, that does allow anyone that's trying to schedule a meeting with you and you can see their working hours and stuff, that does update there as well. All right. Finally, we're going to talk about researching from within Microsoft Word. Like I said, excuse me, like I said, this is kind of, I can tell it's kind of geared towards students and anyone doing more research project type things in here, but definitely we all work with Microsoft Word sometimes, even in our professional lives, and I think it's definitely handy to have this feature. If we're reading something from a colleague and we're not quite sure what they're talking about. So to get to where I am talking about here, if you have a document and you have the topic that you'd like to learn more about, if you go to References and Smart Lookup and Researcher under this Research tab, this is what we're looking for. So if you are, for example, reading something and you're trying to find out what it is you're reading about, you can highlight that specific topic and click Researcher and click Smart. Oh, sorry about that, guys. So Researcher is, I'll talk about the differences here in a second, but we actually wanted to click on Smart Lookup. So we'll highlight, click Smart Lookup, and that pulls topics from Wikipedia and Bing about the thing that we just highlighted. So in this case, Dynamics 365. We can explore that. This gives a kind of a breakdown, some similar topics in the Quick Insights tab. You can go to Wikipedia pages straight from here, which might be kind of nice. What's another example? Boolean, we'll say, Boolean operators. If we highlight that and click Smart Lookup, we get a couple of different options here, and some from a web search as well. So this is just a handy thing, anytime you need to research something you're reading in Word here, you can do it straight from within Word. And this researcher thing, so this, I would say, if your boss asked you to look something up, like to give them a brief overview of some new product or some topic of some sort, like we'll say Salesforce. Although I guess you don't actually need to highlight this, but I don't think if you highlighted that and click Researcher, I don't think anything would show up here. Yeah. So we'll close out of Smart Lookup, and if we type in Salesforce, for example, it does give some different topics and some different, there's journals and other websites, sources to look at here. So it's just another way to research a topic. But this, I would say, is more for if you are the one writing the article or the document, I should say. And if you were to, and again, this is kind of more for students, but if you did need to cite your resources, you can click on this, for example, and we'll go in here, and you could highlight that and add it and cite it straight from, and you can even create a bibliography straight from Word. So I just thought that was pretty cool. And that's from my earlier example. Get rid of that. So this is just that's kind of a cool thing. You can add in quotes directly from the Researcher tab by highlighting and right-clicking, and it will automatically cite it based on the style that you specify. You can edit the citation or source, and then it'll add a bibliography automatically. So that's just another kind of nifty hidden feature in Word that I thought was worth pointing out. Like I said, I know this is probably mainly geared towards students, but we've, it's not impossible to find yourself in a situation where you need to be researching a new topic, or if you're reading an existing document from someone, you need to look up a word or a topic or a person or what have you, and in that case, you can use the Smart Lookup feature to do that. Okay, so just to summarize today, we talked about using @mentions in Outlook, particularly Outlook Online, but you can do it in Outlook Desktop as well. We talked about changing your Outlook calendar working hours, which is easiest to do from Outlook Online. I'm not even sure if you can do it from the desktop. I don't think you can. I think it must be done from Outlook Online. And finally, researching from within Microsoft Word using Researcher or Smart Lookup, which can be found under the References tab. So I hope you found this helpful. If you have any questions at all, please let me know by contacting me at megan@marksgroup.net or by leaving a comment on one of our blog posts. Those do get monitored. And yeah, I hope you have a great day, and I hope you found this helpful. Until next time, we'll see you guys then. All right, thanks.